5 spine-chilling true stories exposed this summer. Terrifying secrets of the cursed and haunted in the quiet suburb of Chicago, a chill unlike any other settled in as summer bloomed. Behind manicured lawns and peaceful homes, a twisted tale unfurled, lurking among the shadows. Children disappeared, leaving behind only whispers. It was said that they were drawn to the heart of darkness, Mr. Thompson's home, where innocence faded like the last rays of sunlight before night consumed all that was good. Sarah, a single mother, worked late at a roadside diner, flipping burgers and pouring coffee, her world revolving around her vibrant son, Timmy. His laughter echoed through their home, a thin veil of light against the encroaching night. But as summer stretched on, a sinister pall settled over their suburb like a thick fog. The cicadas' hum turned dissonant, a low warning as Sarah gazed anxiously at Timmy playing in their backyard, darting toward the charming yet enigmatic neighbor Dunamar. Thompson was beloved, constantly volunteering, his smile as wide as the Midwest sky. Yet as she overheard snippets of conversations, snared whispers of children disappearing, without a trace, an icy dread coiled around her heart. It was impossible, she told herself. Just rumors. But instinct nagged at her, clenching tighter whenever she saw Timmy near Thompson's yard, his giggles ringing like funeral bells in her ears. As twilight draped its heavy cloak, she recalled stories from her youth about a cursed oak tree in the woods, a gnarled sentinel said to devour children who wandered too close. The legends haunted her. Childhood fears resurfaced like black waves. Timmy had drawn pictures of the tree, his colorful crayons creating harrowing images that twisted Sarah's stomach. The laughter of the other parents, their dismissals of her anxiety, only fueled the gnawing terror inside her. With each passing day, Timmy seemed more entranced by the tales, infusing his sketches with shadows and twisted limbs. Then came the night when darkness wrapped the neighborhood in silence. She glanced out the window to see Thompson standing still at his property's edge, the dim light casting sinister long shadows. Panic surged. Her heart raced. Something wasn't right. She needed to protect Timmy. Then, the unthinkable happened. In the middle of an innocent evening, when she turned from a phone call, Timmy was gone for what felt like a lifetime. He reappeared moments later, his face blank, eyes wide, unable to recall where he had been. Her mind spun. A tornado of horror ripped through her. She grabbed her laptop, desperately pulling up articles buried deep in archives, connecting the dots. Each child's name, each missing face, traced back to Thompson. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The barbecue buzzed with laughter that night, a facade of normalcy draped over the simmering anxiety. Sarah felt like a ghost, hovering on the fringes of bliss. As twilight deepened and the cicadas buzzed more frantically, her heart thundered in her chest. She was acutely aware of the danger tickling her spine. Suddenly, Timmy's sweet voice cut through the laughter, but it held an unsettling undertone, as if it were beckoning her from the very heart of the darkness. She turned from the festivities, dread tightening her throat. The weight of her knowledge pressed down, the crowd's jovial tones clashing with her surging horror. With each step toward the backyard, she knew the moment was arriving. The illusion of security had shattered. Had Timmy ventured too far into the abyss? Could Mr. Thompson, with his sickly sweet smile, truly be the monster hiding behind the veneer of suburbia? The chill crawled up her arms as she dashed forward, the trees swaying ominously in the night, a longing to pull back the veil of horror that threatened to consume them both. The air stilled as Sarah approached the edge of her backyard, her senses heightened by the oppressive weight of impending dread. Shadows stretched and twisted like tendrils reaching for her, palpable and hungry. She could see Timmy now. He stood in a small clearing, just beyond the gambling laughter of the barbecue, entranced by something she couldn't make out. His posture was unnaturally still. She called his name, the sound thickening with fear. No response. Timmy. The urgency almost cracked her voice. He remained motionless, as if tethered to an invisible force, darkness curling around him. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown. Her fists clenched. Something was terribly wrong. She stepped into the clearing, the grass whispering against her legs, but a prickling sensation warned her. A moth fluttered past, its erratic dance mirroring the chaos in her heart. Then she spotted a grotesque carving in the trunk of an old oak nearby. Something she hadn't noticed before, knotted faces twisted in silent screams. A chill crept deeper into her bones. Was this the same cursed tree from her childhood nightmares? Timmy's eyes, wide and unblinking, were fixated on the carving, as if it held some dark secret meant only for him. His lips moved, forming silent words that sent bile rising in her throat. She could see it, a thin line of drool pooling at the corner of his mouth. Her instincts screamed danger as she crossed the distance. Each step weighted with fear. "Timmy, come back, honey." At the sound of her voice, he turned slowly, like a marionette drawn by invisible strings. His face was blank, an expression that sent a direct jolt of terror racing through her. "Mommy, I saw him." The incomprehensible words struck her hard. "Who, sweetheart?" She found herself stepping back, so close to the ancient tree, dread filling the air so thick it was almost tangible. The man, he was right there. He pointed, and her heart stopped. Where? She looked towards where he indicated, and her blood froze. Mr. Thompson stood in the shadows just outside the glowing warmth of the barbecue, a manic smile on his face that didn't reach his eyes. He was watching them. Panic surged within her. "Timmy, let us go back," she urged, gripping his little hand tightly. "We need to leave." Timmy shook his head, resolutely. "No, Mommy. I want to see him." A sudden rustle from behind the tree set her on edge. It wasn't just the ethereal feeling that clawed at her heart. It was the overwhelming sense that something was wrong. She would not let her son fall prey to whatever was lurking there, whatever he believed Thompson to be. "Timmy, we don't have time for this." Her voice rose, cracking like ice, and panic bled into desperation. She tugged him, but he didn't budge, eyes locked on Thompson. "You don't want to hurt him, do you?" Thompson's voice sang out, smooth like silk, but so cold it made her shudder. "He just wants to play." Her vision blurred with fear as anger boiled, her maternal instincts igniting like a spark. She yanked Timmy to her side, ready to run. But the shadows shifted again, and something began to unravel around the tree, the cries of children echoing from the wood, haunting and unrelenting. "Mommy, I want to play." Timmy's hands grasped at the air, as if he could already feel the pull of whatever darkness loomed behind those gnarled roots. The night thundered with an unholy whisper. As she yanked Timmy back against her, an almost desperate strength surged. But she felt the very ground tremble beneath her. The oak's knots seemed to pulse with life, quivering, each breath of wind carrying forth a soft hiss, almost like laughter. What had she awakened? And how could she keep Timmy safe from it? "Run!" she shouted, adrenaline igniting a surge of will to fight. But when she turned to flee, her heart sank. Thompson was closer now, shadowy and ever-present. A flicker of malevolence crossed his features, and the promise of terror coiled tightly at the base of her throat. They were not alone. As she sprinted away, a scream echoed through the darkened yard, a sound that both shattered and propelled them forward. She glanced back once, and her stomach twisted as she saw the oak mouthing her son's name, the carved faces leering hungrily in that moment. She knew they were all marked. But as she ran, obscured whispers seemed to promise that Timmy was not free yet. And beneath the muted stars, in the quiet dark, woeful eyes watched them closely, waiting. With panic wrapping around her heart, Sarah mustered the strength to protect her son, but little did she know that the game was only beginning. What twisted fate awaited them both in the endless night? The yard exploded with chaos as Sarah sprinted, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. Timmy clung to her hand, his small body pulling against her as if the darkness behind them was a living thing, eager to devour them both. The nightmare was real, and it clawed hungrily at her heels. "Hold on tight," she gasped, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They broke free from the clearing, spilling into the dim light of the barbecue, laughter echoing around them like a cruel mockery. Friends and family chatted, blissfully unaware of the horror lurking just beyond their comfort. Sarah's mind screamed, but how? She glanced back, desperate fear fogging her thoughts. Mommy! The man! Timmy wailed, voice tinged with awe and terror. As if conjured by Timmy's words, Mr. Thompson stepped out from the shadows. The manic grin stretched wider across his face, a predatory gleam igniting his eyes. The air turned cold around him, a stark contrast to the warmth of the barbecue. Keep playing, everyone. Thompson's voice cut through the laughter like a sharpened knife. I don't bite. The joyous chatter faltered, glancing at him as if sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Their smiles turned uneasy. They felt it too. An eerie tension tightened around them. Not here, please, Sarah pleaded, pulling at Timmy with urgency. But he fought back, eyes wide and shimmering. Mommy, I want to play. No. She recoiled, terror flooding her heart. Timmy, we need to go home. The world around her twisted, shadows creeping closer, whispering her name. She looked back at Thompson, whose smile twisted into something dark and expectant. He stepped closer, emanating a chill that snaked around her ankles, dragging her down into terror. Timmy shook his head fiercely, and horror filled Sarah at the thought of losing him to whatever sick game the man in the shadows proposed. You need to listen, she cried, her voice breaking though fear clearly gripped her son. Thompson's demeanor shifted, his smooth charm replaced with a jagged edge. The games are just beginning, dear Sarah. He belongs to the night now. Come, Timmy. Time stretched, dissolving into slow motion as shadows twisted like living smoke. Other parents in the yard began to notice the atmosphere shift, confusion creeping onto their faces. An old woman leaned in close, gripping her husband's hand, her eyes wide, sensing a storm brewing. Mommy, yes, my friend, Timmy shouted, the innocence masking the true horror of his words. Not a friend, she insisted, her voice reverberating with urgency. You don't know him. But Timmy, lost in that strange trance, began stepping toward Thompson. The grip of their hands slackened, and the panic that surged through Sarah knotted painfully in her stomach. Stay away from him, she screamed, lunging forward, but Thompson snapped his fingers and a gust of wind swept through the yard. It spiraled like a whirlwind, stealing the laughter, encasing them in a suffocating silence as his smile deepened. Timmy faltered, gazing back at his mother, confusion etched on his small face. Come play in the dark, Timmy, Thompson beckoned, a touch of power lacing his tone. The others can't see it, but you can. You're special. The words hung in the air, heavy and laden with promises. Sarah's heart raced, battling against time. She'd have to break this hold she could feel tightening around her boy. She forced herself to breathe, her frantic instincts sharpening to a razor's edge. Before she could finish, the shadows erupted. Figures erupted from the darkness. Children, their faces pale and motionless, surrounded the tree like twisted memories, each equally entranced. Their eyes were empty, voids that sought no escape. Mommy, Timmy cried as he shifted toward them, drawn by the impulse to join them. No, Sarah screamed. She lunged, arms outstretched, desperation fueling her. But a hand gripped her shoulder, a familiar touch that sent ice through her veins. Let him go. It was the old woman's voice, deep with years and regret. He's on the precipice. You can't save him if you don't confront it. You're fighting the wrong battle. Terror coursed through Sarah, the old woman's grip unyielding. The air thickened, her instincts screaming at her as she met the woman's gaze. What lay beneath the surface of all this? What had she stirred? In that instant, the world darkened. Timmy. But before she could react, the shadows surged, the children murmuring in a haunting unison. Join the play. And as the last echoes faded, Sarah felt the world slip from her grasp. What choice do you have? The night swallowed her scream whole, leaving only a nameless dread humming just at the edge of consciousness, waiting for morning's light, or their return. Sarah's heart raced as the darkness closed in, a suffocating blanket that smothered the barbecue's warm glow. The last of Timmy's cry echoed against her pounding pulse, merging into a cacophony of whispers and sinister laughter ringing in her ears. She could barely think, the air heavy with dread and disbelief. Timmy, can you hear me? Panic dripped into her voice. She swung around, frantically searching the yard. Little groups of adults still stood around, their laughter reduced to nervous chuckles. They looked at her, wide-eyed and confused, unaware of the danger just within grasp. The old woman remained beside her, her fingers like iron around Sarah's shoulder. "You must see it clearly," the woman urged, eyes dark, swirling with fear and something else, wisdom, maybe? The darkness preys on their innocence, it thrives on fear. Sarah's breath hitched. "What are you talking about? I can't lose him." Before the woman could respond, the children surrounding the old tree came into sharper focus. Their faces were pale, gaunt. Hollowed eyes stared accusingly at Sarah, mouths moving as if chanting a long-forgotten lullaby. An ice-cold shiver coiled around Sarah's spine. Where were they even from? "Come join us, Sarah," their voices wove together, pulling at her sanity, beckoning like a dark siren. "No," she screamed, stepping toward them defiantly. "Timmy." But something in their collective gaze silenced her. These weren't just lost children, they were echoes of the past, tethered to Thompson's shadows. "Open your eyes," the old woman whispered, voice taut with urgency. "You need to confront him, he is the one who binds them to this darkness." The edges of her vision flickered. The barbecue seemed to fade further away, the distance elongating like a deep chasm. As Sarah's resolve steeled, a familiar sensation flickered within her, an instinct long buried in the layers of fear. She felt it surge, drowning out the whispers. This wasn't merely about Timmy, it was a battle against something much larger. "Thompson," she bellowed, voice cutting through the haze. His grin twisted further, exultant, reveling in her defiance. "Ah, dear Sarah, so brave," he mocked, stepping forward. But the darker side of innocence is often ignored until it's too late. The wind picked up, swirling around them, and Sarah's breath felt like icicles forming in her lungs. "What do you want with him?" Thompson cocked his head, a predator sizing up its prey. "Nothing you can give him. What he desires is freedom from the light. Come play, dear one." "Timmy." She plunged forward, breaking the old woman's grasp. But the shadows whipped around her, threatening to ensnare her. The children hissed, their eyes spinning into darkness. "No," Sarah cried, her body trembling as she fought against the tide of despair. Their voices grew louder, drowning her resolve. "Join us, play with us." A sharp flash of thunder cut across the sky, a wild rebuke against the stillness of the chilling night. The laughter lost its rhythm, replaced by a cruel screech, as if the darkness itself was angry. "Mommy!" Timmy was calling again, his fragile voice barely cutting through the vortex surrounding her. Desperation clawed at her throat. Heart racing, Sarah pushed through, thoughts echoing in her mind. Was she really strong enough to confront the shadow of Thompson? As the silence settled a moment longer, the world around her darkened, time stretching into a black abyss filled with dread. And just as everything seemed lost, a flicker of light appeared in the distance. A small, fiery spark amidst the overwhelming shadows. "Hold my hand," Sarah shouted to Timmy, but Thompson's laughter surged, extinguishing the hope like snuffing out a candle. "Your bond is weak, Sarah." Join them, join the shadows, the pull of darkness sharpened, urging her toward despair, toward surrender. It swirled around her, each tendril whispering the inescapable truth: she might never find her son again. From the depths of despair, the spark grew brighter, revealing the way the unyielding fight against the night had just begun. But would it be enough to save Timmy? Or was she too late? The shadows lurked, waiting for one more moment of weakness, and Sarah could feel their cold fingers tighten again. The shadows bound Sarah in a chilling embrace, their whispers clawing at her sanity. She could feel the icy pressure on her chest, squeezing her breath away. "Timmy!" She screamed again, an anguished sound that echoed across the yard, swallowed by the darkness. Suddenly, the cold fingers retreated just enough for her to take a step forward. The spark, a shimmering beacon, was still out there. It beckoned, flickering with urgency, urging her to push through the fear. Thompson's laugh ricocheted through the abyss, a haunting melody dripping with malice. "You can't fight what you don't understand, Sarah." "They belong to me now," he sneered, waving a slender finger toward the children. They writhed in the darkness, their pale faces morphing into twisted expressions of sorrow and delight. "Timmy!" She stumbled, panic fueling her determination. The adults around her continued to stand frozen in a trance, laughter fading into cold silence, eyes vacant. unaware of the horror unfolding just behind the veil of their ignorance. "Don't listen to him, dear," the old woman gasped, her voice a desperate whisper amidst the growing tumult. "You must seek the truth. Give them a choice." "Choice?" Sarah echoed, confusion mixing with dread. "How can I give them that? They're trapped." "Find the light within you," the old woman urged, her grip weakening as the shadows rose to envelop her, too. The children's voices swelled again, a haunting chorus that pulled at Sarah's heart. "We need you, we want to play," they sang, each word thick with yearning and despair. Their hollow eyes glimmered, pleading, taunting, threatening. "Stop! Stop it!" Sarah covered her ears, but their cries echoed deeper. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of her own fear threatening to drag her down. Timmy, where was he? In that moment, the fog lifted slightly, the spark pulsing insistently. It radiated warmth, a stark contrast to the chill closing around her. It felt like hope. "You have to choose." The old woman's voice broke through the noise. "Will you fight for him? Will you risk your life to save him?" A rush surged through her, raw and primal. Yes, she would. She wouldn't abandon him. Gripping the light in her mind, Sarah took a step toward Thompson. "You don't own them, Thompson. You can't take their innocence." His smile vanished, replaced by a dark scowl. The air crackled with energy as the shadows constricted tighter. "You dare defy me? This is my playground, Sarah. They're mine." With a snarl, Sarah surged forward, breaking through the darkness. The spark surged, pushing against the shadows, forming a shield of light. The children recoiled, their eyes momentarily flickering with clarity. "We want to come back," they cried out, their voices filled with a desperate need. "Then come back," Sarah shouted fiercely, extending her hands toward them. "You can choose. Fight against it." Suddenly, the darkness rippled, an angry wave crashing back against her resolve. Thompson's laughter transformed into a growl as shadows coiled around Sarah's legs, pulling her down. "Join us or lose him." Sarah gritted her teeth, the ground beneath her shaking. "Timmy, fight. Fight for us." A blinding flash tore through the darkness, illuminating the yard with fierce brilliance. The laughter ceased. For a moment, everything was still. But in the silence, unease stirred. The shadows began to ripple with ferocity. Eyes appeared in the depths, angry and hungry. "Will you embrace the darkness?" Thompson roared, his voice shaky yet exhilarating, almost taunting. The light flickered and dimmed. Was she really enough? The children began to chant again, but this time their voices were erratic, fluctuating between the sound of sobs and laughter. "Timmy, hold on." But amidst the chaos, fear crawled back into Sarah's heart. What if this was a trap? Could she break its hold? She had to decide, was this light enough to guide her home? Time slipped away, and she could feel the boundaries of hope closing. In. Would she find Timmy, or was the darkness tightening its grip forever? The sudden burst of light faded, leaving Sarah shrouded in darkness once more. Dread washed over her like waves crashing on a shore, dragging her deeper into despair. The whispers returned, a clamor of voices overlapping, drawing her attention from the children's hollow stares to Thompson, who now loomed closer than ever. "You think you can save them?" he sneered, his breath a foul wind against her face. "They've already made their choice, darling. They love it here." A chill gripped her bones, and she recoiled instinctively. How could they love it? Their faces were twisted with anguish and longing. And yet, something dark sparked in their eyes, an understanding that was terrifying. It felt as if the shadows themselves were feeding from her confusion. "Fight, Timmy," she rushed to call, desperation clawing at her voice. "You are stronger than this. We will bring you home." The air thickened as Thompson waved his hand dismissively, and a cold gust sent shivers racing down her spine. The children twitched as if waking from a dream. "Timmy," Sarah cried, extending her hope toward the fading echo of her child. But just then, a piercing shriek erupted from behind an old willow tree, drawing every eye. It was a sound that could hijack a heart, raw and desperate. It twisted within her. "Mommy!" In that instant, an image flooded her mind, a memory of Timmy in a cast-off Halloween costume, clutching a plastic sword, battling imaginary monsters. The brightness of innocent laughter sharply contrasted with the grim reality. She took a breath, forcing the darkness away, pouring all the love she could muster into her voice. "Timmy, remember our battles? You can slay the monsters. You're brave, and I believe in you. For a heartbeat, the shadows stilled. A flicker of light pulsed through the darkness, battling his bonds. Mom. The words barely broke through the heaviness, but they held an unmistakable hint of resistance. Terrified that this was just another trick, Sarah's heart raced. Had he hurt her? Thompson's expression morphed into something feral, the air around him crackling, charged with unrestrained fury. You're playing a dangerous game, Sarah. His tone shifted, echoing with a promise of destruction. You are toying with forces you don't comprehend. Maybe, but I know love. I know what it means to fight for family, she shouted, stepping further into the murky dark, heart pounding like a war drum against her chest. You cannot have him. And with that declaration, she clutched the spark that pulsed in her mind of brightness, not just of light, but of courage. Conviction erupted within her, causing her hands to glow brighter than ever, illuminating the lost children around her. Choose, she commanded, her voice imbued with the echoing strength of every mother's heart. You can fight him. You can choose to return. The children twisted in their shadowy bindings, light piercing through the despair that coated them. Moments of clarity danced in and out, their features softening just enough to reveal glimmers of their former selves. But Thompson's laughter crashed around them, jagged and cruel. The more you shine, the farther away they slip. Your light only feeds my darkness. He drew back, searching for a way to pull Sarah back into submission, and with desperation, she intensified her brightness. Timmy, fight! Her soul cried out into the darkness, resonating with power. The faces of children began to transform only now. Shadows still lingered. Confusion mixed with hope. An all-consuming rumble shook the air, and the ground vibrated beneath them, a warning unheeded. As Thompson unleashed a guttural scream that tore at the very fabric of reality, shadows erupted in furious waves, slashing through Sarah's light. Suddenly, in the chaos, a small arm reached out from the mass of writhing children, grasping toward her. Mom! The salty taste of tears filled the air, but before she could take another step, dark tendrils wrapped around her, chilling her to the bone. The light dimmed farther, the warmth cooling rapidly. Come to me, Sarah, or lose him. Forever. In that moment, as her strength waned, an unsettling doubt crept in. What if Thompson was right? Perhaps fate was sealed. Heart racing, breath quickening, she faced the haunting truth. Was all hope lost? Or did the spark within her carry the potential to break free? As shadows danced like malevolent dancers swirling around her, she felt one last flicker of connection with Timmy. You have to believe. I want to give up on you. But in the looming chaos, the darkness took a definitive step forward, and everything hung in the balance. Was it too late to save him? Would the darkness ultimately claim her child and her? The darkness surged, a tangible beast clawing at her sanity. Sarah could feel its cold breath creeping closer, suffocating her will. Thompson watched, an amused smirk playing on his lips, as the tendrils tightened around her. Each pulse of her heart echoed in her ears, reminding her of the danger her son faced. No, this isn't over, she shouted, her words breaking through the murmur of despair swarming around her. She pushed against the dark, focusing all her energy on that flickering bond with Timmy. I will not let you take him. But the shadows responded with a wrathful hiss, swirling around her like a cyclone of despair. Just then, something within the darkness flickered. Was that a spark of recognition in Timmy's eyes? His tiny hand offered reassurance, battling the pull of darkness with all its strength. Mom, help me. His voice, faint yet soaring above the shadows, sent fierce determination coursing through her veins. With every ounce of love she had left, she reached back, grasping for his hand, anchoring herself to him in the thick of the chaos. Thompson's countenance twisted in anger, a storm brewing in his darkened gaze. You think love is enough? Love can be twisted, warped into chains, he spat, as the shadows roared with life, clawing their way toward her light. Sarah felt a fracture within her, the shadows gnawing at her thoughts. Doubt seeped in, but she fought hard to push it away. No, I won't let you turn it into chains. Timmy, believe in our love. It's stronger than any darkness. Suddenly, the air cracked with tension. A war between light and shadow erupted. The darkness lashed out, striking at her glowing hands. Pain shot through her, burning like frostbite. She gripped harder, focusing on Timmy's face, the fear melting away to the memory of his laughter, the softness of his hugs. The children surrounding her writhed, caught in an unseen battle, their eyes flickering between the souls they once were and the shadows that sought to consume them completely. A mixture of hope and terror washed over Sarah as she saw a few of them begin to break free from their bindings, tiny flickers of light igniting amongst the darkness. "Fight back. You can choose," she screamed, feeling her own strength ebbing away. Dark laughter echoed around her, a chorus of twisted glee that made her stomach churn. Yet somewhere amidst the chaos, Timmy's grip tightened on hers, his small fingers searching, grasping for comfort. "Mom, I'm scared." His voice trembled, the innocence mixing with dread. "What if it never ends? Then we make it end. Together," she called back, channeling every memory of warmth and safety she had ever known. If they survived this, if they emerged from this nightmarish realm, they would reclaim their lives, their happiness. Then she sensed a shift. The darkness faltered for a fleeting moment as her love coursed through the air. It felt like a single thread in a tapestry, illuminating the shadows, weaving strength into the children around her. "You see?" she cried. "Love is our greatest weapon." But as hope flickered, the shadows roared back with a vengeance, a hideous beast rearing its head, ready to pounce. "Look at them, Sarah." Thompson's voice was a chilling whisper now. "Their fate is sealed. They belong to the darkness. You cannot save them. You can't even save yourself." Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed through the darkness, and the ground beneath shook violently, threatening to swallow them whole. The children screamed, their faces twisting again in anguish, mirroring Sarah's own desperation. "No," she shrieked, as Thompson moved closer, malevolence radiating from him. He reached out, as if to snatch away her last remnants of hope. With one final hurrah, Sarah pulled all her energy into one fierce burst of light. "Timmy, hold on." And just as that brightness erupted, doubt seized her one last time. What if, despite it all, it wasn't enough? With everything hanging by a thread, a chilling silence enveloped them, and Sarah could only wonder, would the light save them all, or would the darkness devour every last bit of love? The light exploded around her, a blinding flare in the suffocating darkness. For a moment, Sarah felt weightless, as if buoyed by waves of hope. But the moment was fleeting. The shadows writhed angrily, desperate to reclaim their dominion over her. Timmy's hand slipped from hers, and the shriek escaped her lips like a wounded animal. "No." The sound of her voice shattered the silence, rippling through the air. Panic clawed at her throat like a noose tightening, choking every thought. In a heartbeat, the light flickered, strobing against the darkness, exposing glimpses of tortured faces trapped in the shadows. Whispers enveloped her, a cacophony of lost souls begging for release. She turned, the fear palpable, realizing that it was not just Timmy who was ensnared. A dozen small, pleading faces looked back at her, their wide eyes brimming with terror. "Mom." Timmy's voice echoed again, clearer now, filled with desperate urgency. Finding her grounding, she scoured the darkness, forcing herself to focus past the chaos. "Timmy, I'm coming." Each step towards him felt like wading through molasses, the heaviness of despair clinging to her limbs. But Thompson loomed in front of her, an insidious grin spreading like a crack in a dam. "It's futile. You're tethered to your fate. Love is a weakness, Sarah. You think they can escape?" He raised a finger, summoning a wrathful wave of darkness which surged forward, threatening to engulf everything in its path. "No," she screamed. Her heart raced, every beat a reminder that time was slipping away. The shadows slashed at her, biting like icy fingers. She felt the cold seep into her bones, threatening to extinguish the flicker of hope left within her. Just then, she locked eyes with Timmy, who stood shaking amidst the dark tendrils. Her heart ached at the sight of him wide-eyed, terror-stricken. She took a deep breath and steadied herself, summoning what little strength remained. "Timmy, I need you to fight. Remember how we played in the park? How we laughed?" The memory rushed over her like a warm blanket, pushing back against the gnawing cold. "Hold on to that. It's still a part of you." From the depths of his fear, she saw a flicker, a spark ignited in Timmy's eyes. He nodded, a shaky sign of resolve, as if her courage was coursing through him. That small gesture was electricity, fueling her, igniting the embers of hope around her. "Together, then," she shouted, and as if in response, the light pulsed brighter. Once again, they were a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The other children stared, brows furrowing with newfound determination as the spark spread among them like wildfire. Thompson's expression shifted, fury mixing with disbelief. "No. How dare you? They belong to me." His voice rose, cracking with anger. "I'll pull them back, one by one." As the shadows lunged towards the children, Sarah felt their energies intertwining, a brilliant surge of light that sent shockwaves through the darkness. "Fight for your freedom. Remember your families," she roared, standing her ground. Then came a moment of clarity. This wasn't just a fight for her son anymore. This was a battle for all of them, for the children whose laughter was snuffed out too soon. Suddenly, with a resounding snap, the darkness recoiled. A wound opened in the fabric of shadow, a split that revealed an endless expanse of white light beyond. "Run!" Sarah yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. In that instant, she felt a connection, a link, not just to Timmy, but to every child who fought beside them. Together, they surged towards the rift, but Thompson's looming figure cut off their path. "You will not escape this time," he bellowed, his voice a deep rumble, echoing with malice as he stretched out his hand. Shadows cascaded from him, desperate to pull the children back into the void. An electric panic thrummed through Sarah's veins. Should she look back? Should she risk it? "Timmy, keep going." She pushed the children ahead with all her might, refusing to let fear paralyze them now. With every ounce of love within her, Sarah felt a charged pulse of energy rising. She tightened her fists, preparing to confront Thompson. It was now or never, either stand and face him or lose everything she held dear. Just as darkness surged to reclaim its prize, the rift began to widen. But would they make it through before he closed it? A final wave of shadows rushed at her. Sarah took a breath, bracing herself. This ends now. The very air crackled. But what if the rift was merely a trick? What if true danger was yet to come? As the shadows danced angrily around her, a final thought pierced through her mind. Would they escape the nightmare? Or was the darkness just waiting to claim them all again? They ran, the light beckoning them with its brilliance, an unearthly glow that cut through the oppressive black. Sarah felt the surge of courage rallying in her chest, but doubt clawed at her insides. If they broke free, what awaited them on the other side? Would freedom be one more illusion crafted by Thompson? Timmy was ahead, his small figure growing smaller in the tempest of shadows and despair. Each step felt like a fight against the tide. A push and pull she feared could easily swallow them whole. She caught the other children, their faces pale but determined, as they rushed forward, screams echoing, yet filled with a strange resolve. "Don't look back," she urged. "Just keep moving." But in that moment, a shudder reverberated through the ground beneath them, and the rift shrank. The light dimmed, and the darkness pressed closer, eager to reclaim its lost prey. "No, push ahead. We can do this." But as she fought the riptide of fear, a chorus of sobs slipped around her, the cruel whispers of the lost weaving through the darkness like poisoned vines. The children hesitated, glancing back at the shadows forming monstrous apparitions, taunting their every step. Sarah, one of the girls, whimpered, her eyes wide and glistening with tears. "What if we can't escape?" That flicker of doubt ignited a panic within Sarah, reverberating through her. "Don't you see? We have to believe. If we doubt, then we lose." Her words bit back against the encroaching shadows. Timmy turned, his small frame silhouetted against the dimming light. "Mom, I can't." The darkness seemed to seize that moment, lunging forward like a predator. Tendrils of despair snaked around Timmy's legs, dragging him down into the cold abyss. "No, Timmy." Sarah dove forward, her heart racing wildly. She reached out, fingers brushing against his arm, feeling the icy chill of the shadow creeping up his body. "Hold on. I'm here. Remember the park? Remember the swings?" Her voice was a lifeline, her hopes spilling into him. Timmy's eyes flashed with recognition, and for a brief heartbeat, the shadow diminished. He clasped her hand tighter, summoning every ounce of strength he had left. Yet the darkness slashed at them, frantically grabbing at their resolve, trying to tear them apart. With a horrid screech, Thompson loomed, his face twisted in wrath as he reached into the swirling depths, drawing forth shadows as if they were extensions of himself. "You think mere memories can save you?" he howled, a malicious glee enveloping him. "They are nothing but echoes. I will have them all." The children cried out, their voices blending into a symphony of terror that roiled the air. But Sarah, steeling herself, cried back, "No, you are mistaken. Love is the strongest force of all." Her words set off a ripple, a resonance of hope that surged through the ranks of terrified children. One by one, they gripped each other as hands, forging a chain, their collective strength a fortress against the shattering force threatening to obliterate them. Together, they chanted, their voices powerful, drowning out the anguished screams of the shadows. Yet even as they pressed forward, Sarah's heart raced with a new fear. What lay beyond the rift? Would the light be their salvation, or would it lead them deeper into the dark? As steadfast as their resolve was, the darkness retaliated. Shadows twisted into faces twisted by despair, mouths gaping wide in silent screams. Each child recoiled, feeling the crushing grip of fear tighten around them. "Go," she urged, pushing Timmy forward. A final surge of strength ignited within her, but the darkness was relentless. It clawed at her like a beast desperate to reclaim its meal. With one last cry, they surged toward the rift, but just behind her, Thompson's laughter echoed, chilling and triumphal. "You cannot escape what you are." In that moment, as the distance between them waned, she wondered if they could ever truly flee from the darkness or if it would always haunt their shadows, lurking just outside the light. "Keep running. Keep believing," she shouted, her voice fierce. But as they leaped for the rift, a piercing thought struck her. Would stepping into the light be a step toward freedom or merely a plunge deeper into the void? And as they flew through the widening opening, the shadows squeezed tighter around them, a menacing roar drowning out their cries, leaving her with a chilling question: were they truly freed, or had they simply traded one nightmare for another? The light enveloped Sarah and Timmy, a brilliant wave racing through the darkness as they broke past the threshold. It felt like stepping from night into day, from despair into hope. But the shadows howled behind them, furious and relentless, snapping at their heels, desperate to reclaim what was once theirs. As they emerged into the light, the world around them seemed transformed. The suburban backyard, once weighed down by shadows and filled with anxiety, was now bursting with color and warmth. Laughter bubbled from distant houses, floating like a song of freedom in the air. Sarah's heart raced. Were they truly safe? Had they escaped Thompson's grip? Timmy squeezed her hand, his tiny fingers wrapped around hers tightly. His eyes were wide, glimmering with a mixture of confusion and relief. "Mommy, where are we?" he whispered, his voice shaking slightly. "It's okay, sweetheart," Sarah said, kneeling to meet his gaze. "We're home now. We're safe." But beneath her own bravado, doubt gnawed at her. The threat of the darkness lingered at the edges of her mind like a phantom. Was this truly a new beginning, or merely a momentary escape? Just then, the old woman from before appeared, her silhouette framed against the glow of the setting sun. She looked tired but resolute, a hint of warmth in her eyes as she met Sarah's gaze. "You did well, dear. You faced it head-on." "Did we win?" Timmy asked, blinking innocence. The old woman nodded slowly. "You found your strength, dear child. But remember, darkness will always try to tempt you back. You must stay vigilant." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "But it's gone, right? We can go back to normal. Be happy." A part of her desperately searched for affirmation, needing to believe that the terror was truly behind them. "For now," the old woman affirmed. "But keep the light of love in your hearts. Don't let their whispers distract you from what is right. You must protect that bond." With those words, the laughter of children flared through the neighborhood, a joyous sound. But lurking beneath it, Sarah still sensed a disturbance, a shadow of familiarity. Her gut tightened. She couldn't let her guard down. "Let us go find your friends," Sarah cheered, exhaustion pooling in her bones as she stood up. She turned, leading Timmy toward the playful sounds, her heart swelling with a mix of hope and lingering dread. She felt the warmth of the sun on her skin, countering the fear that still chilled her heart. They strolled deeper into the neighborhood, joining other families gathered in their yards, chatting, sharing meals, celebrating life. But Sarah couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that hovered just behind the laughter. "Mom, can we play?" Timmy chirped, pulling on her hand excitedly. "Of course." Sarah smiled, her heart lighter as she saw other kids running, their giggles mixing with bright voices. She watched Timmy join a group of children. Their happiness filled her. Yet as she surveyed the scene, she noticed a slight figure lingering by the old oak tree at the back of a nearby yard, the cursed tree of her nightmares. The sight made her blood run cold. "Timmy, stay with me, please," she called out, flinging her arm out, panic swelling as she rushed towards him. The shadows felt like they were inching back, whispering again, reminding her of all they had escaped. But Timmy glanced back, half smiling. "Mom, I just want to look at it." Fearing the pull of the tree's allure, Sarah swooped him up in her arms. "No way, buddy. We don't go near the tree. We've seen what dangers lurk there." "But it's just a tree," he protested, confusion apparent in his wide eyes. "A tree that took children. Timmy, we have to remember. Don't ever let the shadows fool you again," she whispered urgently, feeling the weight of her words settle heavily in the air. The warmth of the sun felt distant now, the laughter faded into a mere echo. The shadows crept back slightly, encroaching upon the once vibrant light. But Sarah gripped Timmy tighter. Love and determination coursed through her. "Do you promise, Timmy?" she asked, sincerity in her voice. Desperation creeping into her heart. "Promise me you'll remember, and you'll fight if they try to come back." Timmy blinked, comprehension dawning in his young eyes. "I promise, Mommy. I'll fight." And as they turned to face the vibrant crowd, a fierce determination bloomed in Sarah's chest, a resolve forged in her love for her son. Today, they were free. Tomorrow, they would stand guard, ready for whatever darkness dared to threaten their light. With the warmth of the sun enveloping them, Sarah took a breath. They were home, but she knew she would remain vigilant. The battle may be over for now, but they would always fight for each other in the shadows, not just for themselves, but for those who needed the light. The end of one journey was merely the beginning of another. Remembering was just the start, and together, they would navigate the path ahead. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach the next level. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show your support. It matters.